Now, negotiating is certainly something that we know is absolutely necessary in the workplace and even in our personal lives. But many people feel that it's a skill that they just don't have. Won't you talk to us a little bit more about that? Is the skill of negotiation something you're born with, or can it be learned?
Oh no, it's something that you learn. I don't think anybody's born with that skill. It's something one learns. Some people are better at it simply because of their personality types, but it's something everybody can learn.
Now, you're going to take us through steps to help us to be a better negotiator. And the first point is to build sustainable relationships. Won't you talk to us about that?
Jerusha, there are three core elements to negotiation. In fact, they're not only present in the negotiation situation, they are also present whenever you have a difficult conversation with somebody, which negotiation is. It's a difficult conversation about, are we going to work together? On what terms are we going to work together? How do we deal with our differences? And the three elements are people, problem, and process. The problem is what it is that we're talking about. The process is how we interact and how we behave in the interaction. And the people is, of course, about our relationship. And as in any difficult conversation, that is the critical part. People often refer to that as the soft stuff. But I think we know from experience that's the hard stuff, in fact, or it's the soft stuff with a big price tag. If the relationship works, it makes the other two elements much easier to manage. We get a better view of the problem, we get more information, we have better understanding of what it is we're trying to talk about, what it is we're trying to achieve. We are able to perhaps set common goals, and the process becomes more relaxed. It becomes far more collaborative, and we sort of develop an internal energy that gets us makes us creative. We start looking at new ways of collaborating, and we get maximum value out of our interaction. But if the relationship doesn't work because of history, or because it's a new relationship and we haven't invested enough time to build that relationship, the process becomes far more difficult. It becomes far more competitive very often. And the result of that is that we start withholding information from each other, information that we should be sharing. We actually start holding back on that. And that means that the kind of outcomes we get, the decisions we get in the negotiation are not always the best decisions. We might get a deal, but it could have been so much better if we built a stronger relationship.
And what you're talking about actually perfectly segues onto the next point, and that's that emotions matter. Of course, we know in any relationship, whether it's in your personal life or in your business environment, you're dealing with different people, different points of views, and of course, emotions do come into it. And I think it's very interesting that you say that these emotions do matter, because many of us have the perception that, well, in business, you put how you feel aside and you just get on with it.
Jerusha, I'd like to meet the person who's able to do that. I don't think that person exists, especially not when it's about money. There's nothing as emotional as money. So how can you put aside emotion when you're talking about a commercial deal, when money's at stake? How do you put emotion aside if you're dealing with an problem at home? How do you put emotion aside if you feel strongly about something? You just can't. All you can do is manage it. And the image that always comes to mind for me is somebody sitting on top of an elephant. Picture yourself sitting on top of an African elephant, for example. And some of us have done it, and you feel very proud of yourself. You look at the pictures afterwards, you say, there I am on top of this beast. But then the question is, who's actually in control here? Is it reason who's sitting on top, or is it emotion beneath you? And that's really the reality. It's the emotion that drives us first. We are not rational as a first response. The neuroscientists are telling us that we are essentially emotional beings. And what we need to do as negotiators is, first of all, to manage our emotions, to recognize them and to manage them and to channel that emotional energy in the right direction. But we also have to behave in ways that will help the other party manage their emotion. To put it differently, I shouldn't do things that will get the elephant underneath me angry. But by the same token, I shouldn't provoke the other person's elephant either. That doesn't help me at all. What I would like to have is the most rational conversation possible, and we can only do that if we control our own emotions and we help the other party control theirs as well. But we can never exclude it, we can only manage it.
Now, we followed these first two steps and we're considering the emotions and the viewpoint of the person we're negotiating with. But what do you say to the person in the situation who believes that there is just no common viewpoint here? There's just no ways that what we're going to get to is going to meet the demands and the needs of both parties. And I know that you've touched on that too, so let's speak about that a bit more.
All right, now let's first assume that they really tried. Because sometimes people don't even try. They walk away before really having tried to get some common ground. But if it gets to the point where you realize that, look, two of us we're not going to hit it off. It's not going to work. Then you always have the option of walking away. And this is a mistake people make. They think that they have to do a deal. That if they don't get this deal, something terrible is going to happen. The business is going to go to ruins, or they're going to lose a relationship. And that's the wrong approach to take. Before going into any negotiation, you always have to ask yourself two things as part of your preparation. Let's assume that this deal doesn't work. Why did it not work? So we call it a pre-mortem. You look at the situation as if you tried and failed. Then you ask yourself, why did this fail? That then becomes part of your preparation. You try to fill the gaps that could lead to failure so that you can have the best possible. Then you need to walk away. But that brings up the second point. You need to know where you're walking to. If I don't get an agreement with you, the agreement I really want, well, what's my plan B? My plan B might be no deal. If I can't get the car I want from you, then I'll use public transport. Or if I can't get the car I really want from you, well, I have an alternative car which might not be so good, but at least it's a good enough fallback in case I can't get an agreement with you.